everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Renegade Roundtable Podcast. Here, I am Jeffrey Kirby. As you can see, as you can tell, I am riding solo. And in fact, actually, let me go ahead. There we go. Turn on my light. Turn on this light over here. Make things a little bit brighter. And so yeah, how you guys doing tonight? Welcome to another episode here of the Renegade Roundtable Podcast. I am Jeffrey Kirby. As you can tell, I am solo. Once again, I just said that, but here we are. Obviously. First and foremost, I do want to say we did announce the giveaway to the Diontae Johnson signed jersey. If you did not win, honestly, we're good. I feel for you. I don't think I've ever won a giveaway either. But we will have more giveaways coming down the line. So be sure to, there's going to be a time where you do win a giveaway. And I do want to say shout out to Ben. He did win the giveaway. We did reach out, so we will see what happens, and if we don't hear anything in the next couple days, maybe we will have to pick a new giveaway winner. But obviously, I do want to go ahead and get started here. We have a couple topics that I do want to get into, Steeler related, and I'm going to be very interested to see how you guys feel as well, because part of it is going to be, I want your guys' opinion on this as well. Part of it is going to be, what would you consider to say would be a successful 2022 season? I'll be very curious to see what you guys have to say about that. Also, we had earlier news in the week with Terry McLaurin from the Commanders signing a 3-year, $71 million deal. He will, obviously, from the same draft class as Diontae Johnson. How is that going to affect him? We will get into that as well. And then one more interesting conversation that we have is 2021 Ben Roethlisberger or 2022 Mitch Trubisky. And let's go ahead. We'll actually start off with that conversation here. And the reason why I asked that is because you ask yourself this. Okay, we all know as of right now at this particular moment that Mitch Trubisky is slated to be the quarterback one of this football team in 2022. We get that right now. That's seeming like how it's going to go. When we look at things and say, okay, when is Kenny Pickett going to get involved? Because if you guys have not seen, it's ironic now that all of a sudden there's this comparison that's been going around of Kenny Pickett being Joe Burrow. Which I do want to say to that, although it sounds like a nice comparison, let's hold our horses here just a smidge, because at the end of the day, I don't necessarily want to put that much pressure on him to begin with, because at the end of the day, we've seen what happens when you try to put that much pressure on certain players. It doesn't work out well, and I want to calm that down for just a minute. But when we look at, going back to Mitch Trubisky here, when you look at Mitch Trubisky, and I'm going to have to pull this up. I got caught up doing other things. I do want to pull this up. Look up Mitch Trubisky. I want to look up what Mitch Trubisky's best stats are. Trubisky stats here. I'm looking this up now as we speak. So Mitch Trubisky's best year was in 2018, the double doink year, where they double doinked against the Eagles. So he had a 66.6% completion percentage, which is not bad at all. You want to see that right now, about over 65, preferably over 67, but 66, I'll take that all day long. 3,200 yards, would like to maybe see that a little bit higher. 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions with a 95 rating. That was highest of his career. So 3,200 yards, 24 touchdowns were all highest of his career. 12 interceptions was also, but you can work with that a little bit. And then we go into Ben Roethlisberger stats here. So Ben Roethlisberger, NBA free agency is going dumb. Oh, okay, hold on, timeout. If you guys see me too, what's up, Hunter? Hunter's gonna keep me in the loop on the NBA free agency. I just saw Bradley Beal, $251 to stay with the Wizards. God damn, he's getting the bag. But that is also kind of the worst timing ever. I'm doing a football podcast right now at the beginning of NBA free agency. But looking at Ben Roethlisberger's stats last year, He had a 64% completion percentage, so obviously Trubisky was better. 22 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. So if you look at this, Mitch Trubisky that year had 2 more touchdowns, 2 more interceptions, and he also had 3,700 yards. So a whole lot, about 500 less yards. Now, granted, there was that extra game, but I don't think that matters as much. So you ask yourself, if you, this is a hypothetical. If you can get to the point of asking yourself, okay, Mitch Trubisky starts all 17. Do we believe that's going to happen? Probably not. But if you ask yourself, all right, in this hypothetical thought that this hypothetical exercise that we're going to go through, if Mitch Trubisky was the quarterback of the 2022 season for all 17 games, will you get better than what 2021 Ben Roethlisberger gave you? And I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is yes, because I think at the end of the day, I trust our wide receiver core a little bit more than that 2018 squad. The offensive line, it's been improved, but there are still some question marks. I'm very curious to see what a Matt Canada's offense is going to be with a younger quarterback who has a little bit of mobility in them. And I'm just curious, and I think at the end of the day, you look at the weapons that you have around you. You have Najee Harris, Diontae Johnson, Chase Claypool, Pat Freiermuth. And then I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with Zach Gentry this year as well. So you have those guys that he's all going to be throwing to and handing the ball off to. And at the end of the day, I think if you can give us 24-12, maybe even if 24-10 would be a whole lot better, or 24-9. But if you could give us that, I think that would be good for this team. Because at the end of the day, it's seeming like right now on June 30th, it seems like all of his teammates are gathering towards him, gathering around him, and everything is looking good. All the players are liking him, and that's what you want in a quarterback situation like that, because you want everyone to be around you and like you, because at the end of the day, quarterback, you can only go as far as what your quarterback's going to take you. With that being said, where does Kenny Pickett get involved in this? Because again, when we talk about Kenny Pickett, again, we just mentioned how he's been getting a comparisons to Joe Burrow, which in terms of the hand size, which was interesting, and that was something that I think I've brought up before on previous episodes. Devin Booker is a cover athlete for NBA 2K23. There you go. I like Devin Booker. But I think I've mentioned this before on a previous show, or I might have on the NBA or on the NFL draft show, Hunter. If I'm not mistaken, I may or may not have. You could confirm this. Talking about the hand size, we all know I've talked about the hand size of Kenny Pickett. Joe Burrow's hand size is not that much bigger, honestly. And we see how Joe Burrow can sling the rock. And you ask yourself this when it goes to Kenny Pickett. Because, and I think part of just overall in general with Kenny Pickett and accidentally transition to the timer. That was my fault, as we're getting more notifications here. Okay, that's just Israel Adesanya press conference. When you ask yourself, when you're talking about Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, because at the end of the day with those two, we're not really worried about Mason Rudolph. Because if Mason Rudolph's beating out those two, either Mason Rudolph has become God, or those two are just absolutely shitting the bed, and I don't think that's going to happen. But then you ask yourself with this, alright, who's more mobile? Who has the better arm talent? Who's more accurate? That's up for discussion, and, because I have not been there. From what we have seen, it seems like it's almost kind of like people are saying that it might actually be Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky who might have the better ball. And if that's the case, so be it. I don't personally have an issue with him starting week 1. I know you have some guys like Filippone who, and I understand why he's talking about the way he is. And Hunter, I see your stuff here in a minute. I'll get to that in a minute. I understand why he's getting all fanboy over Kenny Pickett, but goddamn, sometimes I'm just like, bro, do you just have tunnel vision? Because at the end of the day, sometimes I just question some of his logic when it comes to, the quarterback of the Steelers. But I mean, yes, I get you want Kenny Pickett to start. We all want to see what he can do because, again, he's the first, he's right now probably the quarterback we're looking to be the heir apparent to Ben Roethlisberger. But damn, man, just chill out for a second. My God. All right, so here we go. Booker, Beal, and Jokic all getting max extensions. Malik Monk to the Kings. Brunson, 4-year, $104 million to the Knicks. Portis back, 4 for $49. I think that's nice for the Bucks. Oladipo back with Miami. I'm a little surprised by that. PJ Tucker to the Phillies. We all figured that was going to happen. Anthony Simmons, 4 for $100 with Portland. DeAndre Jordan to Denver. That's interesting. Mo Bamba back to Orlando for 2 for $21. Okay. So I know my man Jared would be happy about that one. DeAndre Jordan to Denver is a little interesting. And I'm a little surprised that Oladipo's back in Miami. I thought there were rumors saying that he was not going back, but I guess I was all wrong. But yeah, just overall going back to just this whole quarterback thing. And I understand the logic and the thought process of Kenny Pickett is 24 years old. He is older for a rookie quarterback. And at the end of the day, I understand the fact that he's not going to be right now. If you just hypothetically, we get to the point where he's going to be he gets his 5th-year option picked up, whatever that happens. He's not going to be a free agent until he's 29 years old. So I understand that you want to try to get him as much playing time as possible. But at the end of the day, I don't want him just shoved out there because to be a savior of a franchise. Like what Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence or Joe Burrow had to be. He doesn't have to be those guys to say you have to start week 1 and go save us. Please go save us. I don't need that. We don't need that. If Mitch Trubisky, especially when you look at the first 4 or 5 games of this season, it's going to be a tough run. So let him develop a little bit. Let him understand the offense a little bit. Get him some more reps in training camp because, yes, we did get confirmation, obviously, that he took only 13 reps, which, as of now, I wasn't mad at because I understand, it's just training camp, or it was just mandatory mini camp and OTAs. But when we get to training camp, yes, I would like to see him, take, second team snaps and even first team snaps. I want to see him get, throw passes to, obviously, Diontae Johnson, Chase Claypool, Pat Freiermuth, even going down to guys like Calvin Austin and George Pickens and those guys. I understand. I just want to get to that point. And then we can see what happens. Because when training camp starts at the end of July, going through all the way into August, that's when we'll really find out. Right now, he has an uphill battle to climb, but he understands that. He knew that going in. So, at the end of the day, Pony just needs to chill the hell out. He needs to get his head up out of Kenny Pickett's ass, let him do his thing, and then you can, claim all the success you want, and congratulations to you and all your knowledge of Kenny Pickett's success, and just kind of let it happen, instead of just trying to force it down everyone's throat. That's the part that kind of irritates my damn soul. Tyrus Jones back to Memphis, 2 for 30. Joe Ingles has signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. Ooh, boy. So they get the math teacher. Interesting. I'll be very interested to see if the Cavs do anything, because they really don't have much cap space, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they do, but I'll be very curious to see what they do. Obviously. But yeah, that's just kind of my deal. And Hunter, if you even want to hop in, I know you're a Browns fan, and at one point in time, we will get you on. And I want your honest opinion on this show about about the whole Deshaun Watson thing as well, because that whole debacle is just very interesting in itself, and what all we're learning and what's true and what isn't true and blah blah blah. I did see that the meetings with Sue Robinson have ended. That was according to Josina Anderson. So we'll see what happens with that down the line. See what happens if he's going to get out or get not out, or if he's going to get suspended or if he won't get suspended. I'm just looking real quick on Twitter. I'm just seeing what all is going on right now. I know we had the interesting thing with the Big Ten and USC and UCLA. That was very interesting. And as a Buckeyes fan, Hunter himself, he goes to the Ohio State, so that that affects us as Ohio State fans. Or if you're a Penn State fan, or if you're a Michigan fan, if you're Herbert, you're a Michigan fan. If you're a Penn State fan, like some of the others out there who are rooting for the Steelers, if you're not a Pitt Panther fan, that affects you. And it's going to be very interesting to see, because UCLA not as much, but USC, they are definitely going to be a powerhouse of a college here in the next few years, just based on Lincoln Riley being there. But that's going to be very interesting to see in itself. I do have another topic that I want to get into when we talk about what is the Steelers, or if you ask yourself this, the Steelers, I'll ask you this question. The Steelers' 2022 season will be a successful one if they do what? To me, the Pittsburgh Steelers' 2022 season will be a successful season. Damn, I have to think about this now. I was going to kind of let this roll off my tongue. Now I got to think about it for a minute, because there's multiple options to this. Do you look at Kenny Pickett growth? Do you look at keeping Mike Tomlin's season or regular season streak of not having a losing season go? Is it make the playoffs? Is it win a playoff game? Okay, I think I have it here. And I'm making sure I say this properly, because I'm going to clip this and put this on Twitter. The Steelers season will be a successful one in 2022 if the Pittsburgh Steelers can go and get to the playoffs and be competitive in that playoff game. Because the reason why I say that is because when you look at the last time that the Pittsburgh Steelers have won a playoff game was 2016. If I'm not mistaken, it was against the Chiefs. Then you look at 2017, or that AFC title game. You get slaughtered by New England. 2017, you go 13-3. Shout out to Chris Boswell for bailing us out on a whole lot of games that year. But 2017, Ben Roethlisberger, he does great. Antonio Brown, he was getting MVP chance when he was getting carried off because he hurt his foot in that New England game, which, yes, Jesse James did catch that football, by the way. Damn it. But then you get slaughtered by a team that Ben Roethlisberger threw 5 interceptions against earlier that year in the Jacksonville Jaguars, who was a quarter away from going to a Super Bowl if it wasn't for them blowing another lead to New England. 2018, you do not make the playoffs after you go absolutely insane to start off the year. Or you start off the year, actually, never mind. You start off kind of weird. Then you go on a long win streak, and then you just fall apart. You fall apart. You have to beg and plead for Baker Mayfield and the Browns of all teams to beat the Ravens to try to make the playoffs that year. That did not happen, as we all know. 2019, we all know what happened. Ben Roethlisberger gets hurt. You have mediocre Mason and Duck Hodges as your quarterback all year. And if you win that game in Baltimore Week 17, you make the playoffs as well at a 9-7 team. That obviously didn't happen. You go 8-8 that year, but I think that was still a very fun year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2020, we all know what happens. You can start off 11-0. You fall apart. You lose, I want to say, 4 of your last 5. I think that's how that goes. Yeah, you lose 4 of your last 5. And then you get throttled by the Browns in the playoffs where, yes, it was 48-37, but it was 48 to a whole lot. Or you start off, it was like 28-0. So you're down 4 scores. If this was Madden, you would have got skunked. Turn the Xbox off. Pass the controllers. It's someone else. You got your ass clapped. And then 2021 happens. We saw what happens. You get your cheeks clapped once again by the Kansas City Chiefs. So at the end of the day, what I just don't get that. And I think at the end of the day, you have to hope and pray that not only this team could get to the playoffs, but be competitive. And I'm not talking about, kind of what happened earlier last year or later last year against the Minnesota Vikings, where it was a lot to a little, you climb back and you barely lose that game. No, I'm talking, I want to be competitive throughout the game. I want it to be a close game. At least where at one point in time you're not down 21 or 24 points and having to crawl back like usual. That's what I'm trying to say. So for me, the Pittsburgh Steelers 2022 season will be a successful season if you can make the playoffs and be competitive in that playoff game throughout the whole entire game. That would be considered a successful season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, in my opinion. And I almost want to go ahead and tweet that out. You know what? I won't yet, because I'm also going to wait till I post my video. After I'll post it then. And I'm just looking to see more of Hunter, if you have any more or news about the NBA and free agency, because it did start about 20 minutes ago. Nick Batum going to the Clippers. Lou Dort going 5 years, $87 million to the Thunder. Staying with the Thunder. Damian Jones going to the Lakers. And, okay, so none all that big as of the last couple minutes have happened in the NBA free agency. I know we don't really talk much NBA here because we don't have a basketball team. But we do have hockey. And I don't have much I could give on the hockey stuff because I'm not that knowledgeable into hockey. But I will say, Ron Hextall, you son of a bitch, give Chris Letang 5 years. Or, if you can't meet in the middle, because Ron Hextall wants to give Chris Letang 3, Letang's in his camp want 5. Just, if that's the case, just meet in the middle at 4 or give him the 5. He's worth it, damn it. Malkin, yeah, it would suck, but I think it would be a whole lot easier to replace what Evgeny Malkin can do than what Chris Letang can do. But that's that. That's about as much of an extent of hockey that I can get. Steel Black, what is good, everyone? All I say is we are a top 2, top 3 in our division. Now, are you just making that claim, or are you saying that would be considered a successful season for the Steelers? I want that, because I don't know if that's the answer to that, or if you're just kind of making a claim. I'll be curious, because like I said, I don't know if you missed it, but I said, for me, for the Steelers to have a successful season, they will have to make the playoffs and be competitive in that game the whole time. Because we just have that theme now of we get into a playoff game and we're just getting absolutely throttled. We're getting slaughtered like a meat house. Like a pig in a meat house. Getting slaughtered. That's what it's like the last 5 or 6 years watching the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs. We need better than that. Because at the end of the day, and you know what? Hold on. I do want to look at one thing real quick. I need to find this. Because Pro Football Focus, they're an absolute, I swear, Pro Football Focus is just an absolute asshat group, organization, whatever the hell it is. And I understand I'm kind of going off the rails here. I just had this thought that I need to get off my chest. Because here we go. So, This was from another clown that posted this. We will not mention his name, but he posted this, something from Pro Football Focus, which is yet another clown organization. I'm sorry for those who absolutely live, breathe, and die by Pro Football Focus. I'm sorry, that is definitely not me, because just some of the shit that they try to claim and all that, no, stop it. Stop it. So, I'm looking at some of the grades here, based on, what they saw or production or whatever. They really do not like the Miles Jack Devin Bush duo at all, because they gave them lower than 40 grade for both of those guys. And Devin Bush, maybe I could understand. Miles Jack, but I don't know about 34 and 37. My God. And then on top of that, they gave Chuks Okorafor a higher grade than Minkah Fitzpatrick, who had to pretty much bail out everyone in the front seven because none of them knew how to tackle or stop the run or damn near anything last year. The Steelers are more young. It makes us more unpredictable, which is dangerous. Now, when you say that, because, yes, obviously the quarterback's younger, you do have a younger core in terms of, some of the key pieces. But at the end of the day, young is always nice, but young also equals inexperienced. Now, Najee Harris has a year of experience. When I say that, they don't have multiple years under their belt. When we talk about Kenny Pickett, or when we talk about, Najee Harris, he has 1 year under his belt, and now he's under behind a terrible offensive line. Obviously, a lot of you have two young guys in Calvin Austin and George Pickens. They're rookies. Obviously, you have Pat Freiermuth. He's going to end up having to take that next step into being tight end one behind with Zach Gentry behind him. And obviously, you get, it is nice that you have younger pieces. I think at the end of the day, too, when we look at what would be considered a successful season, I think I just want to see a lot of development as well. Now, we need the defense, the most expensive defense in the National Football League. We need that to play at a top-tier level like it had been the last few years prior to last year. We need that to happen. If you could keep guys to stay healthy, I absolutely think that could happen, especially with that defensive line. I think now you look at the depth there. You have Tyson Alualu. He's coming back from that foot or ankle injury. You bring in Larry Ogunjobi, which we didn't get to talk about much last year. We were having kind of a blast last week on the show, which I will say, I really like that Larry Ogunjobi signing because he is going to bring. He brings that dynamic of he could get to the pass, he could get to the quarterback, and he's going to. You can't double team him. You're not going to really be able to double team him, so he's going to get one-on-ones, and I could trust for him to go and do what he has to do. Look at what he did last year. He had a career year last year, and I think the pieces around him in terms of the defensive line are better than what he had last year. So I think he has a chance to be a very good player for us this year. Obviously, we know Cam Hayward and TJ Watt. I'll be very excited to see what Alex Highsmith will do in year 3, which I will need to. I'm gonna have to try to reach out to Mr. Sam Highsmith, his father, and try to get him back on when we got Caleb in here, because Caleb didn't get to talk to him last time. So I'll have to work on that. We'll have to try to make that a day. We'll have to try to talk to him again. But I'm very excited to see what he's going to do in year 3. See how much development he's brought himself. Obviously, Devin Bush. A lot of people are skeptical about him. I mean, I understand to be skeptical, but I think at the end of the day, I want to see what he's like mentally. Because last year he admitted he was not mentally. He was not there. This year, I think he can be there mentally. That's a contract year for him. Let's go ball. Miles Jack. Obviously, and Brian Flores all into this as well. Miles Jack, he came here based because of Brian Flores. So we'll see how much development that is. And then obviously the secondary. You re-signed Ahkello Witherspoon. You brought in Levi Wallace. So now you bring in a little bit more depth in terms of your defensive backs. So we'll see. True, but I say some players are going to be under the radar, like Claypool was in his rookie year, like Pat and Harris. Najee Harris, I don't think as much. Pat, maybe I could understand because he was also behind Eric Ebron. I can understand that. I can understand him being maybe under the radar. Claypool, I don't know, just because he was going to be that, he was the bigger receiver. Obviously, you had Juju and Diontae before, they were kind of smaller receivers. That you have Chase Claypool, who, was getting comparisons to Calvin Johnson based on his build and his height. But, so I don't know. Pat, I could understand, but I don't agree with Najee, and I could agree with Pat, and I'm not sure if I agree with Claypool, but I get what you're saying in that point. And I think exactly his word. And when I talked about the defensive line, didn't even mention DeMarvin Leal. He's a guy that he could maybe, if you could get any kind of contribution out of him, that'll be nice. And then we'll see what happens with Calvin Austin and George Pickens. If you could get some contributions out of them, the offense, this team has a chance to be good. Just how good will they be? That is to be determined. And can they stay healthy? Because I think when you look at the AFC in itself, because again, the whole entire AFC West, they're going to be good. They're going to beat up on each other, similar to how the AFC North did last year, where the top seed went 10-7 for us last year in Cincinnati. I can see that maybe kind of happening there because they're just going to beat up on each other like no tomorrow. So there's 4 right there. You still have Buffalo. Cleveland, we don't know what's going to happen with them in terms of their quarterback. So there's 6 right there. You still have Cincinnati. You still got to give respect to Baltimore. So that's like 9 teams right there. We'll see what happens with Miami. We'll see if Tua Tagovailoa can, take that next level now that they have Tyreek Hill. We shall see. You still have Tennessee. Tennessee's a team that's going to be interesting. So there's all kinds of stuff going on in the AFC where you're just like, what the hell? Where are we ranked in Pro Football Focus? No, it was based on their rankings for the players based on last year's play. If you want, I'll give you the quick rundown. So Mitch Trubisky had a 63.5 rating. Now, granted, he was very limited. Najee Harris was a 69.6. Chase Claypool 67.2. Diontae Johnson is a 73.2. George Pickens, based in college, was a 70.7. Pat Freiermuth was a 72.6. Zach Gentry was a 66. Dan Moore was a 57.5. Kevin Dotson, 64.5. Mason Cole, 69.7. James Daniels, a 71. And Chuk Okorafor was a 62.2. So that's the offense of the highest. Looks like it was Diontae Johnson, and then Pat Freiermuth, and then James Daniels. Defense, you had Cam Hayward, who clocked in at a 90.8. So there, you love to see that. Chris Wormley, 69.3. Tyson Alualu, 86.6. TJ Watt, not even hit 90. He had an 89.6. Alex Highsmith, a 65.1. Miles Jack, 37.7. Devin Bush, 34.4. Akella Witherspoon had a 75.8. Levi Wallace, a 62.8. Cam Sutton, a 59.3. Minka Fitzpatrick at a 57.2. And a Terrell Edmonds at a 58. So there was the rankings for that. And I don't know, just sometimes Pro Football Focus just makes me want to pull my hair out, because I'm just like, what the hell is that? But yeah, just overall, in terms of a successful season, that's kind of how I feel. If you could go, has TJ ever have a below level season ever? No, you look at what he's done. He's been a legit Defensive Player of the Year candidate for what? Minimum 3 years, maybe even 4. So, no, and even going into his rookie, in his rookie year, he was still a decent, and he was playing on the opposite side. He was playing on the blind side, which was not his strong suit, which that is one of the best things that Keith Butler and them did, was switch Bud Dupree and TJ Watt, because you saw they both started to dominate a whole lot more when they flip sides, and that does mean something as well. I do have one more topic I want to get into before we get on out of here, and that is, what will the Terry McLaurin contract mean for Diontae Johnson? Because at the end when we look at this, Terry McLaurin was in the same draft class as Diontae Johnson. Obviously, Terry McLaurin was a first-round pick. And when you look at some of the stuff that, the stats are very scary close, and just even the situations itself. So when you look at Terry McLaurin, you look at the quarterbacks that he has had to play with. Alex Smith, who ended up coming back from the major injury, which shout out to him for that. My God. The late, great Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace. Case Keenum, Kyle Allen, and Taylor Heineke. Diontae Johnson had to play with Ben Roethlisberger towards the last 2 years when his arm was completely shot. Mason Rudolph and Doug Hodges. So they both kind of played with mediocre-ass quarterbacks in terms of production. Terry McLaurin, in his career so far, in 3 years, has 222 receptions for 3,090 yards, 16 touchdowns, and averaged 13.9 yards per catch. Diontae Johnson has 254 receptions, so that's more than Terry McLaurin, 2,764 yards, which is less than Terry McLaurin. He has 20 touchdowns, which is more, and averaged 10.9 yards per catch. And he also has a Pro Bowl. So, if you're Diontae Johnson, and if you're his representation, when you look at what Mitch Trubisky, or what Terry McLaurin just got, 3 years, $71 million, with $24 million on average per year. When you look at that, you very well have a case that Diontae Johnson could make that kind of money based on those statistics and based on the situations that they have been placed in. Do I think that there is a chance in hell that Pittsburgh gives Diontae Johnson that money there? Hell no. Hell no. I think they would have a better shot of seeing what he does this year and franchise tagging him next year. And I don't even think that's going to happen. Now, if you would have signed him a few months ago, maybe at the beginning of free agency, maybe you could have got him for a whole lot less. But no, I don't think there's a chance in hell you get him for less than $20 million per year. And I just do not see this Pittsburgh Steelers team doing that. Just based on the development of what you've been able to do with your wide receivers and who you've been able to draft and just kind of rotate in and out, I don't think there's a chance in hell they do that. There's a reason, too, why you went and drafted 2 wide receivers and one of them being in the second round in George Pickens. There's a reason for that. Johnson is not getting a Scary Terry contract. I'm sorry. Love him, but he has to have a Offensive Player of the year for that contract. That's the only way for me to be fine with that. I think he could get that contract, just maybe not here. Because if you look at what he's done compared to those numbers that I just mentioned with Diontae Johnson and Terry McLaurin, you could definitely make the argument that he is up there. And now in that case, you're getting the less years, but you're getting a whole lot more money. Instead of, saying 4 for $80, where you're only getting 20 a year. Here you're getting 24 per year. So I think at the end of the day, you can make the argument if you're the representation of Diontae Johnson. I just don't think there is a chance in flying hell he's going to get that contract here. If this is the final year of Diontae Johnson, so be it. It sucks that we lose another good wide receiver, but it seems like we could just develop them like there's no tomorrow. I'm a Guardians fan. It seems like the way that we could develop wide receivers is the way that the Guardians/Indians can develop pitching. Cleveland, Columbus, Akron, they have been just produced. It's been a pitching factory. That's what it kind of feels like with here in Cleveland or here in Pittsburgh with wide receivers. I just got that kind of vibe. Now, we understand that the kind of dynamic that Diontae Johnson brings. He was very useful with Ben Roethlisberger last year. Ben Roethlisberger did not want to hold on to the football long at all. Diontae Johnson was able to get open very quickly. And it worked out and it benefited for the both of them. Now, what will Diontae Johnson look with maybe a younger quarterback who's a little bit more mobile? I want to see what that happens, because there's a whole dynamic that we have not really seen much in the last few years, where we have a quarterback who can scramble out, move around in the pocket, see what he can do in scramble drill. What is he going to look like then? Is he going to be able to just find ways to get open even more, like similar to how Antonio Brown was, where when Ben Roethlisberger had to move around in the pocket, Antonio Brown found ways to get open. He moved around just as well as anyone, and that's what made Antonio Brown that big of a dynamic wide receiver. We have not seen that. We have not had that kind of quarterback in a few years, going back to maybe the earliest of 2018. Because 2019, we all knew damn well we weren't getting that out of mediocre Mason and Duck Hodges. 2020 and 2021, Ben Roethlisberger looked like he looked like a statue. He looked like an old man that should be in a walking chair, using a walker at a local retirement home sometimes. That's how it felt like he looked. So we have not had that kind of dynamic in a few years. Those are things that I'm interested to see what he's going to look like, including Chase Claypool as well. I'll be very interested to see what happens with that. Yeah, anywhere else, here he's got to have a huge breakout year. And I think the part of the issue is, even if he has a... Sorry about that. I've been talking so much, my throat's kind of getting to me a little bit. And I think the issue with me is, or the fear that I have with that is, okay, he goes out there and has that breakout year even more. Goes for 112 catches for 1,300 or 1,400 yards and 10 plus touchdowns. Say he does get that. Who's to say that the wide receiver market is not going to reset itself yet again, benefiting Diontae Johnson yet even more? I just don't think there's a chance in hell. Now, if George Pickens just goes out the next few years and just balls out like no tomorrow, I can see him getting I can see him getting a re-signed contract of whatever magnitude it is. Or Calvin Austin, but I think George Pickens might have that better chance. Although, there you go. You were talking about under the radar. That might be Calvin Austin, very under the radar right now. But I just don't think there is a flying chance in hell that Diontae Johnson is going to get any type of huge deal from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe back in March. Not now. Not a chance in hell now. Other than that, let me check on something real quick. Hunter has not given me any more updates on the... Oh, yeah, by the way, too. So, the Pirates and Brewers play tonight, 7:05. Be sure to check out next week. I see your comment here in a second. Next week, as of now, me and Caleb are going to a Pirates game. There will be a vlog out on the channel for that. And... so we will vlog that whole entire day of our trip going to PNC Park. It's going to be a phenomenal time against the New York Yankees, which is ironic because I get to go and see the Guardians play the New York Yankees in about 48 hours. So I can see the Yankees twice in a span of like 3 or 4 days. My God. Pickens is a mix of Claypool and Diontae Johnson, which is scary. if you could get a mix out of those two in terms of what they can be, yeah, that is scary. And again, goes back to what I said. It's just another list of the wide receiver tree here in Pittsburgh. It's just another one of many. Just another one of many. Other than that, obviously we have Penguins free agency or NHL free agency coming soon. The next time that we get, the next time that Caleb is in, I'll see if I can hit up my man Jesse Marshall, see if he could come on with us. We'll talk some free agency with him. Talk about what's going to happen with, see what's going to happen with the Penguins, and see what happens if Evgeny Malkin and or Chris Letang's going to come back. We shall see. But other than that, I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to end it off there. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Ben did respond to my tweet that he did win the giveaway, so we'll have to check and see if he could give me his information. We'll get that sent out to him either tomorrow or Saturday, if not next week after the 4th of July. But make sure to follow us, subscribe to us. We're close to 500. We're close to the halfway mark of 1K, damn it. So if you have not yet, please help us subscribe. If you haven't yet, click that red subscribe button. It's completely free. If you want, even turn on the notification bell so you know when we post videos. Caleb's been doing a phenomenal job with the Pirates recap every Monday. So I know we didn't talk much of Pirates, if not any Pirates at all this week, but he will definitely give that for you next week on Monday. We should have it out Monday. We'll try our best to get it out on Monday. Pirates recap. Obviously, I've been doing tier list Tuesdays. We'll figure out which one I'm going to do next week for this Tuesday. Then obviously we got the vlog and then another podcast. So a whole lot of content's going to be coming here very soon. But until then, thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys have a phenomenal 4th of July weekend. Please sure to be stay safe. Don't drink and drive. You know, if you need to, call an Uber. Call whoever you need to call. Get a DD. Because however much it is for that will be just way less expensive and way less headache than getting a DUI and all the money that you're going to have to pay for that. So be sure to do that. Stay safe, everyone. Be smart, be good, and peace out.